Hello, everyone. I'm Donghun from Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. Actually, I have a question related to your John's your presentation, but I will talk about mine, and I will get back to you. So I'd like to talk about a portfolio of model predictive control solutions, especially related to the supporting a clean energy transition. I mean, why am I talking about clean energy transitions when we talk about model predictive control in buildings? So when people sometimes saying that what building can do for the decarbonization, some people may equate building decarbonization is basically the same as electrification, basically replacing the gas boilers and furnaces with a heat pump. But building can do a lot more to make a clean environment. California Energy Commissions, they just announced this 7 gigawatt load shifting goals. So like it's a little bit confusing, but what they wanted to do is during the 5 peak hour period, they wanted to eliminate, reduce the 7 gigawatt level of the grid load. And a 7 gigawatt is very tremendous because if you look at by the way, this is the grid signal, California ISO, which I grabbed yesterday. And the grid load is about 40 gigawatt. And California Energy Commission is targeting 7 gigawatt load reduction during the 5 peak hour period. That's tremendous. And this is just a California situation. But when we talk about the US environment, DOE is targeting adding 80 to 160 gigawatt virtual power plant demand response resources over the 5 peak hour period. You can imagine that it's a huge, even like a California, 7 gigawatt as opposed to the 40 gigawatt, that's around 1/5 or 1/6 of the entire grid load. But DOE is looking for more because we have 50 states across the US. And another important thing is US DOE just announced a building decarbonization blueprint. And one of the targets that includes electrification and other stuff like reducing the leakage, the refrigerant to leakages, and replacing the refrigerant to the low temperature refrigerant. But in addition to that, another important thing is transforming the end load to more flexible load. By 2050, they wanted to basically triple the DR resources, demand response resources, as opposed to the current level. This one is not just a goal. For example, in the California Energy Commission, there's a Senate bill, basically for customer who is actively participating in the load shifting and sharing and through the PPP or any other mechanisms, they will incentivize the customers. And all the US DOE policies also try to doing that. So it's not just a goal, it's more about the policy and all about the money flowing at this moment now. So there's a tremendous requirement and also a benefit incentive of buildings to participating in the load flexibility. So now, when we talk about buildings, like even like a small buildings, medium building, large building, we have a number of different HVAC systems. So each building sector has its unique characteristics, technical challenges, non-technical challenges. And what I'd like to present today is a portfolio of a solution because one unique solution would not likely applied to all of the each different sectors. So we would like to present a portfolio of model predictive control solutions that provide the load flexibility in response to a grid signal. And this is some of the example buildings that Lawrence Berkeley National Lab and the Purdue, when I was at Purdue, has been tested, developed the model predictive controls and tested it in a real building. It's not just a sample, and I will talk about more about what we are currently doing. So what type of system that I'm talking about? First is a small and medium-sized commercial building. Maybe it's a common configuration, is multiple packaged HCs, rooftop unit, heat pumps, or dual fuel heat pumps. More concrete examples. This is the pictures, typical, the commercial building have a full packaged unit on top over there, and it serves the entire buildings. And there's another example, it's a K-12 schools have several RTUs serving different zones. So this type of HVAC configuration is universal, at least in the United States. If you go to the restaurant like McDonald's, Walmart, and it's everywhere, basically. So the advantage of developing advanced control for this type of system is since that HVAC configuration is consistent across all the small and medium-sized commercial building, then we can apply the method universally to many of the building having the same HVAC configuration. But there is some challenges because it's a small commercial building. They may pay like utility bills like $1,000 per month. And if we say 20% utility cost savings, that's just $200. And if we add some like install bunch of sensors, the building management system and that kind of thing, their payback period could go up to several years that this college is participant for joining. So for this type of system, what we have developed is low-cost model predictive controls that try to receive grid signal and automatically responds to the grid signal. So this is when I say low cost, this is the example what we have done in 2016, and we have deployed. When I say we, more precisely, Purdue team, Center for High Performance Building and Field Diagnostic and mCloud. We deployed. Basically, at this point, each building has its own RTUs and also its own thermostat. We are only leveraging web-enabled thermostat, and we received the data all across the US in 2016 and received the data from the MPC server located at the time in Philadelphia, and solve optimization problems and send all the optimal set point to each buildings and each thermostat, and keep repeating this process for every sampling times, and implemented the model predictive control. The reason why we wanted to say a low-cost MPC, we are just using only the web-enabled thermostat, not like expensive building management system deployment for a small, medium commercial buildings. So by doing that, this is some architecture that we have been extended. Originally, it's developed only for the AC rooftop unit, but we extended to the heat pump and then extended to the dual fuel heat pump. I will talk about that later. And a capability of this model predictive control, we name it the unit coordinator because we are targeting the coordinating multiple rooftop unit. Version 1 is only kind of try to manage their peak demand by coordinating the operation of a multiple unit. But the version 2 is actually receiving the grid signals and do some load shifting and load shedding accordingly. Some of the examples for the version 1 is the targeting is again like only the peak reduction. And the left-hand side shows the temperature behavior. Can you see the mouse point? So this is just an example. This is not the MPC. It's a typical process of the buildings having a multiple rooftop unit. In this case, we have a 4 rooftop unit, and the upper figure shows the thermostat temperatures fluctuation, and the second figure shows the compressor stages, 0, 1, 2, for each rooftop unit. And the bottom figure shows the aggregated HVAC power in kilowatt. And this is the scenario during a summer. People have a nice setup to not to use the energy when it's unoccupied. But when the occupied period starts, then we just lower the set point to the 70-some degree F, then you can immediately see all the rooftop unit activate at the same time because it's not because of the nature of a stage unit. Everything is activated at the same time at the time and resulting in the peak load during the time period. And this is a big problem for a small medium commercial building, although it's not the load shifting problem, but we have to eliminate this problem because anyway, in order to pre-cool the space, the only way of adjusting, making this happening is lowering the set point. And if this kind of scenarios keep happening again, then we are increasing the building owner's demand charge. That doesn't really make sense. So this is the example result once we develop the model predictive control that coordinate the peak demand for the 2 unit in this case. Again, temperature, relative humidity, each stages of compressors, and the total power. And the red one is when the typical control. The set point in this case is just like fixed for several days. It's about a week. And randomly, we switched the model predictive control, unit coordination on, and switched off the unit that goes to the decentralized thermostat controls, and the MPC on and the MPC off. Keep repeating this again. And you can immediately see that model predictive control unit coordinator is like regulating their peak. They are not, it is not allowing all the units activated at the same time, very clearly in here. Once that algorithm has been developed, we tested in multiple buildings, as I mentioned, and this is the demand savings in terms of HVAC cost, about like 20% to up to 30% consistently. And next one is we added the load shifting capability to the version 1, that is the demand reduction. And this one is tested with the buildings, laboratory buildings with having a 2 rooftop unit. Again, temperature, thermostat temperature, and also each compressor power and the total power summations. And the shaded area is when the electric price is high, basically on peak price period. And the test signal we have done is on to OP price ratio of 2. And the red one, again, conventional controls, blue one, model predictive control. We're switching back and forth daily in this case. And this is the temperature drops to down because the occupying period start, the set point is lowering down, and you can see all the RTUs activated at the same time. But in the next day, obviously the conventional thermostat control doesn't care about the grid signals because there's no mechanism for them to react. But model predictive controls try to pre-cool the spaces by adjusting the set point. You can see the temperature drop here, and very importantly is although we are providing a pre-cooling, you can see the RTUs like it doesn't like a peak. It does not activate all the unit. It regulates the peak but provides a load shifting, and that kind of a behavior can be seen repeatedly in here. We repeated this step back and forth test, conventional and model predictive controls, conventional model predictive control for about a month. And the upper figure shows the power profile, daily power profile for the conventional control. The red, basically the collection of the red profile. And the second figure is the response of a model predictive control for about a month. And we applied the moving average because it's pretty noisy on and off. So in order to see the general trend, we applied the moving average. And this is kind of each set of power profile, we just come up with the average profile. And this is the comparison between the model predictive control, that is blue, and the conventional control. You can see that, again, like a shaded area is when the electric price is high, 2 times higher than the off-peak price period. And you can see the HVAC power, HVAC energy is utilized before the electric price jump, and it pre-cooled the space. And then we can immediately see the load reduction during the on-peak price period. So this one clearly shows the capability of load shifting while preventing the unnecessary peak. What about the temperature? If we don't show the temperature in a building, it doesn't really make sense. This is the behavior of the temperature for all the, like about a month period. And you can see is that it's basically model predictive control. Conventional is the temperature is in an acceptable bound. Actually, the lower bound is what the hard constraint we imposed in the model predictive control. So it meets the temperature constraint while try to solving the optimization problem effectively. This is another system. So far, we just talk about the ACs, but this is the extension of a heat pump and the dual fuel heat pump system. In this case, we have a heat pump over there, and also the combined with gas furnaces. It's a dual fuel heat pump system. It's not a packaged dual fuel heat pump system, but in a market, especially commercial building, although they wanted to electrify their system, they don't want to get rid of existing gas furnaces. That naturally makes dual fuel heat pump systems. And so we repeated this kind of testing again and come up with around 14% energy cost reduction, and while reducing the demand. And one thing that I'd like to emphasize is we completely eliminate the gas usages of the dual fuel system. What's happening for the dual fuel system in the existing setup? They are using so-called the droop control. What they are doing is once the heat pump is not able to meet the set point or goes above the deadband, then it activates the gas furnaces. And this one happens mainly you can see the nice setback period, the set point changes of roughly that kick in the gas furnaces, but the model predictive control is completely eliminate the unnecessary use of gas furnaces. That's an important kind of lesson learned and a feature. Okay, yep. So this is the buildings that we have tested, and one thing that I'd like to emphasize is that this model predictive control has been deployed in like over than 100 buildings at this moment with an industry partner. So far, I talk about the small and medium-sized commercial building, and let me talk about another system, the large commercial and district energy system. Because of limited time, let me just brief what system that we are covering and what's the lesson learned. Let me skip this, although I wanted to emphasize, but one of the buildings that we have covered is a VRF system. having all the refrigerant flowing into the indoor coil rather than airflow, air handling unit. So we developed the motor predictive control for the VRF system. And this heat pump, it provides heating and cooling during summer and the winter. And it shows, again, the load flexibility, shows the daily cost savings in response to the price signal. Another important thing we have developed is a district cooling system. This is the examples test site we have been deployed. It has 5,000 refrigerant chillers, and it has 5,000 ton chillers, and it has I remember like 2 million gallons of a chilled water tank. And it has a solar PVs, and we have developed the motor predictive controls, and this is the result when the electric price is high. We completely eliminate the use of chillers during the peak price period and provide low shifting capability, prove the low shifting capability. This one has been tested, not just the price signal, but also the grid carbon emissions. One single summary is we saved around 1 metric ton of CO2 per day. That's equivalent to the carbon emission driving car from the Berkeley to the New York. So conclusions. Lots of things, a lot of content, as I've been working on these areas like 15 years. So a lot of content, but what I want to mention is we developed a portfolio of motor predictive control, and in the future, we would like to continue develop to cover the high priority HVAC system for each building sectors, and also to cover evolving building systems, EV charging stations, and TES, battery storage system as well. And I'd like to acknowledge our sponsors for all of this work, including the US DOE, California Energy Commission, Center for High Performance Building, and NYSERDA, and KITEP. Thank you so much.
All right, fascinating work. Donghun, thank you so much for the talk. I'm sure we'll have some questions from the room or online.
When you're pre-cooling to charge ahead of time to avoid the time of use high cost, do you have a limit on how much you pre-cool before you become uncomfortable in the building space?
In terms of temperature, we talk with the building's occupant and ask them to provide what's the lower limit and upper limit. So, and that temperature band goes into the motor predictive control constraint, and it's always solved.
Thank you. Donghun, you mentioned that with an industry partner, you're deployed in like over 100 buildings now, right? So can you comment a little bit about the commercialization aspect of it, the business model, any hints about that?
Yep, the company is named the Community Energy Lab. So their major kind of the target, the market segment is K-12 school. And they have a great connections to the school district, and they are deploying the motor predictable, because school is kind of like a lack of financial resources, but considering the uncertainties in the future, price change and that kind of things, like they don't have money to like retrofit their control system. So this company is trying to work with K-12 schools to help and make and develop a business model around that.
Thank you, Donghun.
Yeah, hi, this is Rohit. I was wondering, you probably had to incorporate reduced order models for predicting the best optimal solution.
Yep.
Was there any particular modeling method that you felt worked for these commercial buildings and and something that can be scalable for more buildings?
Yeah. So in terms of modeling methodologies, is really kind of the never-ending, argument. But I think that the best solution should be depending on the characteristics of a building. For example, this case, restaurant, McDonald's, we don't have to put a lot of sensors and try to invest a lot of money. In this case, maybe it's the kind of a gray box or black box-like-ish model is better solutions. I cannot say better, it's more about practical economic solution. But large commercial building, let's imagine that we already have a bunch of sensors installed and building management system. Every information is visible, and probably it's more the white box approach could also be appealing. It's really, I think it depends on the availabilities, controllabilities of the sensors and the system.
Thank you.
Real quick, we had a question online from Gregor. He asks if you could pull up slide 8 real quick. If you look in the bottom right plot there, the blue curve, if you look at the area under the blue curve, it's much larger than under the red curve. So significant increase in energy use.
Yes.
Right? But we assume there's a decrease in energy cost overall. So I guess could you comment on that?
Yes, right. That's exactly what's going on. This building, it's not very well insulated. It's really the trade-off, energy efficiency optimization as opposed to the load flexibility or energy cost optimization. And because it's this one, imagine that this building is just like very poorly insulated, but still wanted to provide some pre-cooling. Then we can imagine that a lot of energy is just wasted, and this one is happening. But MPC since the objective function in this case is minimize the energy cost rather than maximize the energy efficiency. So that's why this behavior is happening. And I think that this one is should occur everywhere unless the energy efficiency of a battery of a building is 100%.
Makes sense. Thank you. I think we have time for one more question from the room. Go ahead.
Doing very quick, can you comment on top level implementation, MPC implementation difference, if any, between traditional units and VRF units?
Traditional,
Central unit, you have the packaged unit rooftop versus, because you mentioned you also studied on VRF in large office buildings.
So in terms of a modeling perspective, it's completely different because the way of working of the VRF is utilizing the expansion valve to meet the load. But the overall implementations, the controllable point that is open to us is only the set point. So the overall implementation process is the same, but the internal modeling and required the sensor information is different.